real problem for Canelo because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out.
If it's reachable for him, if anybody can do it, it's him, and I'm contradicting myself. I just don't see it happening, you know. Could it happen? Yeah.
Terence Crawford is reportedly training with Gennady Golovkin ahead of his fight with Canelo Alvarez, drawing major attention in the boxing world. The two boxers are said to be working together to sharpen Crawford's power, timing, and overall ring IQ, with Golovkin's experience guiding him. This reported partnership could provide Crawford with the extra edge he needs as he prepares for one of the toughest fights of his career. When analysts look at Terence Crawford, they do not see an ordinary fighter. They see a rare talent who combines speed, timing, and an unmatched ability to read opponents. Crawford is known for switching stances smoothly and adjusting mid-fight, a skill that only a handful of boxers have mastered. His boxing IQ is often described as genius level because he can break down fighters with precision. Observers believe that his adaptability and ring awareness make him unique, setting him apart from most fighters in the sport today. For many,
Terence Bud Crawford, a man who survived getting shot in the head, for God's sakes. Like, he is not normal. He is a wizard of boxing. He's got genius IQ, one of the smartest boxers I've ever seen, and he can do it all. He's had over 40 fights. I can't ever remember seeing him, like, shook or worried. I mean, this is, you know, trained killers trying to take his head off, and he never looks out of pocket. He is like a rapper who just turns up and figures out his lines on the fly and still makes it sound like the best song you've ever heard. Like, that's how amazing he is. Like, I've never seen anyone who can fight out both stances the way Crawford can. I mean, he looks so natural in either stance. That's a real problem for Canelo because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out, and you know, when they stand in the pocket and they just go for it. And even in those situations where usually both of you are getting hit, he still manages to hit and not get hit. It's like he's in the Matrix. And this isn't against average fighters. This is against the best in the world at 4 different weight classes, and he's made it look easy pretty much every time he's moved up. I think in the Errol Spence fight, that was a fight that was supposed to be 50-50. The pressure was on. A lot of people thought he was going to lose that fight. He made that look like a boxing lesson, and the reason was when Errol Spence would throw a punch and not get out of the pocket quick enough, he would make them pay every single time. And if people are worried about Canelo's feet being slow, if there's anyone who can punish that, it's Terence Bud Crawford. In terms of weaknesses, these guys, they don't really have weaknesses. They've just got things that they maybe not as amazing at. That's the level we're talking here. Canelo has been accused of being a bit of a slow starter, and, you know, that could be a problem.
He is not just great, but truly amazing in the way he controls fights with intelligence and strategy. Michael Fox highlighted an important aspect of the upcoming clash between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez by pointing out that the only real disadvantage for Crawford is the weight. Moving up to face a naturally bigger and stronger fighter like Canelo presents obvious challenges. The size difference could allow Canelo to impose physical pressure, making it harder for Crawford to rely on strength exchanges. Yet, Fox made it clear that aside from this factor, Crawford holds the edge in nearly every technical department.
Bud really has is the weight. I think he has all the skills and attributes that are required to beat a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's kind of flat-footed. You've seen the fights with Bivol and Laura and even School, who didn't do much, but you see that movement irritates Canelo. You know what I'm saying? When dudes that know how to control the range and stuff like that, he didn't look like the world beater. You know what I mean? The motherfuckers that sat in front of him, them dudes that sat in front of him, we see what he did with him. You know what I mean? But guys like Bivol, who was bigger, but he bouncing in and out. Laura, motherfucking landing counter lefts, and he's circling out, and that shit was fucking with Canelo. Floyd, you know, it probably killed Canelo that Floyd was always only an inch away. Yep. It was a little step back, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, God damn, I feel like I missed by a mile.
That's crazy because he didn't use no movement.
Right.
He stood in the pocket on it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Triple G was. You said G? Triple G?
No. I said Floyd didn't use no movement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. I'm in there to land, then I'm just right here. In there to land, but now I'm right here. It was a bad motherfucker, Joe. Like that's what we never gotta understand. Floyd was a bad motherfucker. But the movement, having good feet under you, helps against Canelo.
Crawford's footwork allows him to create angles that frustrate aggressive opponents. His jab is sharp and precise, setting the tone for combinations and disrupting rhythm. His timing, often described as elite, enables him to capitalize on the smallest openings. Most importantly, his ring IQ is considered one of the best in modern boxing. He knows how to adapt mid-fight and switch tactics seamlessly depending on the opponent. Fox believed these skills make Crawford a nightmare matchup for Canelo despite the weight gap.
Shredded wheat and amazing. Is this photo photoshopped? Because this photo that Ilia Topuria posted of Terence Bud Crawford is the latest photo we've seen, and he looks just less impressive in this photo. Well, the question is really, when were the photos taken? All right, so when you look at this photo and you look at this photo and look at this video of Terence Crawford with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh as Terence Crawford is working out, supposedly just yesterday, right? Which one is Terence Crawford's latest appearance? Because even though this is the latest photo you've seen, doesn't mean this is when the photo was taken. The only reason why people are confused is because this latest photo seems to have been taken in Vegas. And we're approaching fight week and Terence Crawford is already in Vegas. Hence the video with him with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh in Vegas. Now, let me explain all of this. Well, first you gotta look at the hairstyles, right? Terence Crawford in this photo from Ilia Topuria, his hairstyle is totally different than this hairstyle here with Terence Crawford shredded wheat. It is also different than his hairstyle that he has here in the gym with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. You can tell because you can tell how the hair braid, like how it's parted in this photo, and in this photo, they're more parted down the middle, where this video, it's slanted, it's in like a diagonal slant, which I'm thinking is,
if Crawford can handle physicality and not allow Canelo to dictate with power shots, his overall talent could shine through. In that case, Crawford has every chance to outclass and defeat the Mexican superstar. When new training photos of Terence Crawford's physique surfaced online, Showbiz the adult reacted with curiosity and skepticism. The images displayed Crawford in peak condition with noticeably sharp, muscular build.
To see, I think Terence Crawford beats Canelo, and I think that it's going to be his coming out party. I'd love to be there, and Canelo, of course, an all-time great. Yeah, but listen, I love Ireland, and I'm pleased to be in Belfast with the zone for Crocker and Donovan. There's something about an all-Irish fight which is fantastic, and it was great and controversial first time around. It's even bigger now, so yeah, let's chat over there and get on with it.
Just a quick one on Canelo Crawford. I heard you pick Crawford. You just said it there. How much of that is down to timing and how much of that is down to styles?
A bit of both. I think Canelo is approaching 70 fights. He's been beaten before. Crawford remains undefeated. I think that the jump up is big, but I think he's got the speed, the IQ, the experience, the know-how to be able to handle it. If he's switched on for every minute of every round, I think he wins, and I think he announces himself to the world on Netflix. And I think he deserves it. I think Terence Crawford's only been really known to the trade fans. Canelo, obviously, a bigger name, bigger star. And look, I fancy Crawford in this fight. Look, nothing against Canelo. Maybe it's a little bit of time in the skull fight. I don't know, but there's plenty that fancy Canelo. Be too big, too strong, too good.
However, the immediate question raised was whether these pictures were authentic or edited. Some fans wondered if the visuals were exaggerated to intimidate Canelo Alvarez ahead of their clash. Showbiz highlighted that while Crawford has always been disciplined in his training, Such dramatic physical changes spark debate. This reaction shows how closely fans and commentators examine every detail, especially when it involves a super fight of this magnitude. Adam Smith gave a detailed explanation of why he favors Terence Crawford over Canelo Alvarez.
So, yeah, there's a big argument that Canelo Alvarez starts the favourite going into this one because he's the super middleweight world champion. Bud Crawford jumping up to two weight divisions, you know, and he's jumped up a weight division before that as well, beating Errol Spence. You just look at it and go, it's a massive ask here for Terence Crawford. But something inside me tells me he wins, and we'll get into that later on.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But in the meantime, you know, Canelo, as ever, has left no stone unturned. He's been training at altitude in Sierra Nevada, looking to get the maximum body stamina and preparation advantage. It's something that he's used to. And, of course, he's going to effectively be the home fighter because Tex-Mexers will be up in their numbers from Texas. Also, Hispanic fans from all around the United States. The fight is being made on Mexican Independence Day. I don't think you have to be a great crystal ball gazer to know where the bulk of the crowd is going to be rooting when they step out inside those ropes and their names are bellowed out by the ringside announcer afterwards.
Listen, even though the fight happens in America and Terence Crawford is American, it is going to be so pro-Mexican there, you know, because Canelo is accepted. He's like an adopted son there, and Mexican Independence Day, all of that goes so much in favour of Canelo Alvarez. You go, actually, the guy that's a four-division world champion and a superstar of the sport and American will start probably the fan favourite will definitely be Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, definitely. And he's been training with somebody, sparring with a man who he thinks replicates Crawford's style in sparring many rounds against Yaron Ennis.
Focusing heavily on timing as a deciding factor. According to Smith, boxing is not only about skill, but also about meeting opponents at the right or wrong moment in a career. He pointed out that Canelo Alvarez has already endured years of tough battles against top competition, which has inevitably taken toll on his body. While Canelo is still highly skilled, Smith feels his speed, explosiveness, and sharpness are no longer at the level they once were. In contrast,
Crawford actually lost that fight. So we've got Crawford coming in off the back of, well, his previous two fights. One of them was brilliant performance. The other one was a bit lackluster by his very high standards, albeit against a very, very good fighter. But you could see in that fight that the size of Israel Madrimov, bear in mind, 154 pounds. Israel Madrimov still fights at 154 pounds. This is super middleweight, 2 divisions more. And we've seen Canelo when he's brought someone up from 154 who was a decent size 154 pounder in Charlo. Crawford's not going to do what Charlo did. Charlo fought like, you know, someone who was completely scared out of his mind and just knew he wasn't going to win, but didn't want to get stopped. That was really the look we were getting from Charlo. Crawford is not going to do that. He's a very proud man. He doesn't know what it's like to be defeated. He fully believes in himself and the shape he looks in phenomenal shape. He's coming into this fight fully believing that he can win this, and that right there is the mindset you need to have. It won't guarantee you victory, but it will give you a better chance than if you went in there thinking, right, just survive and see what happens. I do think that the size difference will be something. Although saying that, look at Canelo Alvarez, we look at his most recent performances, and when's the last fight from Alvarez that's really made you stand up and take note? Caliplant, Billy Joe Saunders, maybe those 2 fights, they were good performances. Lost, clearly, the Dimitri Bivol fight, although it's very close here. It was on the scorecards, it was a clear loss. Against Triple G, it was just a meh performance. Likewise against John Ryder. Charlo, I won't even talk about that. Munguia, it was a bit meh. Berlanga, it was like, okay. And
Terence Crawford is entering what many consider the peak stage of his career. He has momentum on his side. He is undefeated, and he shows no visible signs of slowing down. Crawford remains hungry, motivated, and possesses the energy of fighters still eager to prove himself against the very best. Smith suggested that this perfect alignment of form and ambition gives Crawford an advantage. For Smith, the timing of this fight is not in Canelo's favor. He believes Crawford is catching the Mexican star at a moment when his sharpness has slightly faded, making this the ideal opportunity for Crawford to win and solidify his greatness.